Hello YouTube and welcome back into another Dare to Game video. Today we are going to be talking about the upcoming video game Hogwarts Legacy, and the topic of today's video is Broomsticks. Now we already know that flying brooms will be a part of the game used for racing and transportation around the map that exists in the game. We also know that at least at launch, unfortunately, Quidditch will not be a part of the game. But that's pretty much all we know. And on top of that, there is very little information, at least canon, for which broomsticks we will see in the game, and perhaps be able to own. Since the game is set in the 1890s, which takes place about 100 years before the events of the Harry Potter books. In this video, I'm going to speculate on 6 broomsticks that I believe we may see in Hogwarts Legacy. So just to be clear, since this game takes place way before the Second Wizarding War, it should be obvious that we won't see any of the contemporary brooms from the films or books. So no Nimbus 2000, no Firebolt, and no Cleansweep 11. These brooms can't exist at this time, and so will not be in the game. I know, it's sad, but that is the reality that we face when playing a game set in the 1890s. But brooms certainly did exist, and even racing brooms designed for Quidditch existed. So I expect and hope that we will see some famous names. It should also be kept in mind that brooms are the cars of the wizarding world, and so many broom companies in the lore mirror car manufacturers in real life, being bought out by other companies, going out of business after one model, or changing their name and structure multiple times, but essentially creating the same product for a long time. So there is some wiggle room that could allow the developers to have some iconic looks and features while not breaking any established lore. Number 1, the Oakshaft 79. So I just wanted to start with a broom that we can pretty much guarantee will be in the game. The Oakshaft 79. This broom is one of, if not the only example we have of a canon broom that existed in the late 1800s. The following information about this broom is taken from the Harry Potter wiki. The Oakshaft 79 was a broomstick created by the broom maker Elias Grimstone of Portsmouth in 1879. These were the days of the cottage industry, with each broomstick handmade by the inventor, and Elias's broom was the first model to make a name for itself. Designated the number 79 because of the year of its construction, the broom had a thick oak handle which was designed for endurance flying, designed to withstand high wind conditions. The Oakshaft 79 never gained popularity as a Quidditch broom because of its lack of agility. Today, the Oakshaft 79 is a highly prized vintage broom. The Oakshaft 79 ensured its place in history, however, when Yocunda Sykes used one to perform the first ever Atlantic crossing on a broom in 1935. This broomstick is known as a traveling broom. It was pretty fast and comfortable to ride, but it was not agile, which made it poorly suited for racing or use in Quidditch. But it was presumptively one of the most popular brooms of the time, and so I find it hard to believe that it won't feature in the game. Given the fact that it would already be somewhat of an older broom by the 1890s, I believe this could be the first or cheapest broom we have access to in Hogwarts Legacy. I just hope it isn't the only broom we have access to. Number 2, the Moontrimmer. So the Moontrimmer, like the rest of the brooms on this list, is far from a sure thing. For one thing, the official canon says that this broom wasn't made, or at least released, until 1901, so we might just miss the line for it. However, there are always ways around this, like having it be available at a very high price, or as a prototype model, or even a precursor model that looks and performs very similarly but has a slightly different name. Regarding the broomstick itself, we do have the following information. The Moontrimmer was a broomstick created by Gladys Boothby in 1901, designed with a slim ash handle and the ability to fly higher than other brooms and remain controllable at the time. The brooms were a revolution in broomstick design and were in great demand by Quidditch players. However, working on her own, Gladys was never able to keep up with the demand for them. So whether it is this exact broom or some earlier model made by the same person, this would be a great example of an early broom designed specifically for racing and playing Quidditch, and held the distinction for being able to fly higher than any other existing broom at the time. It also looks pretty cool, and therefore I would love to have it or something very like it in the game. Number 3, the Silver Arrow. Our number 3 spot goes to the Silver Arrow, and this one is hard to place. For one thing, I do not know, nor could I find the release date for this broom. It could be as late as the 1920s, or it could be much earlier. As far as I know, there isn't a canon answer. But you let me know in the comment section if I missed it, and if so, what is it? But here is the information we do have regarding the broomstick. The Silver Arrow was a broomstick produced by broom maker Leonard Jukes, and was the true forerunner of the racing broom. It was capable of speeds greater than that of the Oakshaft 79 or the Moontrimmer. Its maximum speed of 70 miles per hour with a decent tailwind was very good for its time, but Leonard worked alone and demand outstripped supply. It was eventually replaced by the Cleansweep Cleansweep series. So with this broom, it is compared to the Oakshaft 79 and the Moontrimmer, but not in relation to the year that they were released, suggesting that they were contemporary to each other. This means that the Silver Arrow could have been released in the late 1800s, or maybe the very early 1900s, we just don't know. But given the comparison and the fact that it is called the true precursor to the racing broom, I would guess it is a pretty early model. We do know of a known user of the broom in canon, and that user is Madame Hooch, the flying instructor at Hogwarts. She is said to have used one in her heyday, and in the third book, when speaking to Harry, she compares his firebolt with her old silver arrow. We also knew it was a precursor to the Cleansweep series, which started in 1926, with the Cleansweep 1. So this had to have come sometime before that. And Madame Hooch was over 100 years old when Harry Potter went to Hogwarts, so it's very possible that this broom was made in the 1890s. Altogether, it's hard to say if it would be appropriate to include the Silver Arrow in Hogwarts Legacy, but I really hope they do, since its unique look is very cool, and it is an established broom in the lore, which would be cool to own. Number 4, a Cleansweep precursor. One of the most prominent broom companies in the Harry Potter universe is the Cleansweep Broom Company. We know at least 11 models in the series, as in the Half-Blood Prince, Ron Weasley is rewarded with the newest one, the Cleansweep 11, when he made prefect for Gryffindor House. The Cleansweep series of brooms may have not been as flashy or well known by fans as the Nimbus 1000 series of brooms or the legendary Firebolt, but since their inception, they were a staple in the Quidditch world and always maintained a spot as some of the best brooms on the market. Unfortunately, as stated in the last broom, the Cleansweep 1, their first broom, at least in canon, wasn't released until 1926, putting it several decades after the events of this game. However, again here we could possibly hope for something created by the original designer of the Cleansweep brooms long before they would go on to found the company in the 1920s. I don't have much hope for this one, given how much established lore there is for Cleansweeps, and how it is pretty firmly established that they weren't founded until the mid-1920s, but you never know. The devs might have some clever way of working it in. Number 5, the Comet 1. For number 5, I'm thinking something made by the Comet Trading Company. The earliest model we know about from them is the Comet 140, which was released in 1929. However, the way that they arrived at this naming convention makes me believe that there very well could be numerous earlier models that we could see in the game. Here is the canon information regarding the Comet 140 from the Harry Potter wiki. The Comet 140 was a broomstick produced by the Comet Trading Company and was released in 1929. It was designated the Comet 140 because it was the 140th model that they had tested before its release. It was the first broom to incorporate the Horton-Keech breaking charm, which would mean Quidditch players would be less likely to stray offside or overshoot the goal. It quickly became the broom of choice for many British and Irish Quidditch teams. So note a couple of things here. For one, it says the Comet 140 was a broomstick produced by the Comet Trading Company, and it doesn't say that it was the first. We also know that the 140 designation comes from the fact that it was the 140th model they tested before its release. But again, it doesn't say that none of the other models they tested were ever released. For all we know, they could have only tested one model a year, which would put a broomstick released in 1890 as the Comet 101. Or maybe they tested 4 models a year, which would make the Comet 1 a broom that could have released in 1894. So there is more than enough wiggle room here to tell me that we could see a Comet model of racing broom in the game, and it wouldn't necessarily violate established lore in any way. Given the very cool and unique look of the Comet 140, it would be awesome to see something similar exist in the game as a high-end racing broom, especially one that focuses on high agility, as that appears to have been the Comet Trading Company's approach to making Quidditch brooms. Number 6, an early Nimbus product. Finally, at number 6, we have something Nimbus related. For many fans of the Harry Potter franchise, no broom is as iconic as the Nimbus 2000. Sure, the Firebolt was more impressive in world and a much better broom, but the Nimbus 2000 was our introduction to high-end racing brooms in Harry Potter, and for his first 2 years at Hogwarts, that was the broom that we all wanted as kids. Except you Slytherins out there who likely wanted the Nimbus 2001, but I can't get into that headspace. Unfortunately, this one would be a stretch lore-wise, as the Nimbus Racing Broom Company wasn't founded until the late 1960s. Their first product was the Nimbus 1000. Here is the canon information we have have regarding this broomstick. The Nimbus 1000 was the Nimbus Racing Broom Company's first product, released in 1967. The Nimbus 1000 was a revolutionary design capable of speeds up to 100 miles an hour, and the ability to turn 360 degrees in midair on a fixed spot. It combined the reliability of the Oakshaft 79 with the agility of the best Cleansweeps, and immediately became the broom of choice for professional Quidditch teams. So obviously, if we were to get a Nimbus broom in the game, it would have to be some sort of lore break, because as far as we know, there was never a Nimbus broom before the 1000, which wasn't released until nearly 8 decades after our game takes place. But if the devs are creative, they could still make it work. For one thing, they could make a broom that looks very much like a Nimbus broom and just name it something entirely different. Or they could go the precursor approach and have a broom designed by the person who would eventually found the Nimbus Racing Broom Company, or it could be a broom that inspired the company. Or they could have a unique new creation, maybe a tongue-in-cheek reference and call it the Cumulus 500 or the Stratus 90. You know, sticking with the naming convention but using another cloud as the inspiration. I think this would work as a suitable workaround that could bring the most iconic broom of the franchise into a much earlier time period without breaking the lore. And that's that. I know that unfortunately this is in no way a definitive list of brooms that will be in the game, or even could be in the game. Some of these push the boundaries, but given the fact that this game is much earlier than most of what we know about the Wizarding World, it is hard to predict what we will get in many ways. But that's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it entertaining, or at least thought-provoking. If you find any problems with anything I've said in the video, or if you're a lore expert who wants to share some possible brooms that I've missed, why don't you let me know down in the comment section below. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.